Dana, even the House Speaker, John Boehner, said today that Republicans need to do a whole lot better on this front. Listen to what he said.
Oh, I try to get them to be a little more sensitive. You know, you look around the Congress, there are a lot more females in the Democrat caucus than there are in the Republican caucus. And, you know, some of our members just aren't as sensitive as they ought to be.
All right, so Dana, what are you hearing on the Hill right now about these tutoring sessions?
Well, what we're told is that what they're doing over at the NRCC, which is the political arm of the Republican Party in the House that tries to get members elected, is they're doing broad tutorials, media training for all of their candidates, which is not new. Both parties do that. But as part of those tutorials, they are being much more focused on avoiding the gaffes like you just played from Todd Akin, on explaining how to, when you're asked about abortion, when you're asked about subjects that certainly are sensitive and are prone to foot and mouth moments, to not answer those the way Todd Akin did. But then also more broadly to talk more in a way, for Republicans to talk more in a way that it's relatable to women voters, to talk about themselves as husbands, as fathers, and things like that. And in fact, this is something that I had a chance to talk to the House Majority Leader Eric Cantor about earlier today, about what he thinks the issue is. Listen to what he said. Do you not know how to talk to women, sir?
Well, we have any number of Republican women in our conference who are real leaders on all kinds of issues.
But is there a problem with men in the Republican Party, your rank and file, who don't know how to communicate to reach female voters?
You know, it is our policies that are going to appeal to both female and male voters.
But they haven't been.
When we're talking about health care right now, our health care starts with people and patients.
There are times when you hear Republican candidates, even Republican members, talk about rape, talk about things that I know that you would rather them not talk about message-wise, language-wise. Are you trying to put a stop to that?
Again, Dana, I would say that our policies, the underlying prescriptions that we have for people, is what most are concerned about, men and women.
Now, Wolf, one of the big problems Republicans across the board admit that they have in reaching female voters is that they simply don't have that many female candidates, female representatives. Right now in the House majority, this is a great example, 232 Republicans, a really big number. Of those 232 Republicans, 19 are women. Only 19 female Republicans in the House of Representatives. That is another thing that they're really trying to change inside the House Republican leadership.
Yeah, I remember this comment from Mitt Romney during the campaign last year that also agitated a lot of folks, especially women. Listen to this.
And I said, well, gosh, can't we find some women that are also qualified? And so we took a concerted effort to go out and find women who had backgrounds that could be qualified to become members of our cabinet. I went to a number of women's groups and said, can you help us find folks? And they brought us whole binders full of women.
Yeah, that binder's full of women obviously caused them some grief out there. How serious is this the gender gap problem for the Republicans right now?
It's a huge problem. Mitt Romney lost with a women vote, I believe, by about 11%. And it is certainly not new and not just about Mitt Romney. It has been like that for Republicans for years. And you talk to Democrats who are really, really trying to retake the House and, of course, keep control of the Senate in this next election. Anytime a Republican says anything that can be used by Democrats as a message about Republicans and their war on women, they take it and they seize on it because the predisposition is already there in the electorate to listen to something like Mitt Romney and saying binders of women. And when he was trying to say, I try really hard to hire women and put women in my cabinet and business, and it sort of is turned on its head because of the way people perceive Republicans and women. And that is the fundamental thing that they're trying to change back as we started this conversation in those media training sessions that House Republicans are having.